I was still recovering from surgery when my sister called. I'm dropping off my 3 kids with you. You're not doing anything anyway. I'm going to Tokyo for the Harry Potter Museum. I smiled and hung up the phone. I decided to give her a Christmas she'd never forget. When she came back from Japan, she couldn't believe what she saw. My name is Sam. I'm 34, a patrol officer, the oldest of 3, and the one who keeps the batteries drawer full at my mom's house. I carry a notebook even off duty because details save lives. I lock my front door twice, out of habit. I drink my coffee black because somewhere along the line I forgot sugar was an option. I was 6 days out from laparoscopic surgery. Easy, they said. Quick recovery, they said. My abdomen felt like someone had stored books under my ribs. I had strict instructions. No lifting, no stairs, no stress. I was parked on the couch, a pillow pressed to my stomach, watching a dumb baking show where everyone cried over pies. It was the first time in years I had permission to do nothing, and I was trying to learn how. My phone lit up with Maddie, sister. I picked up. Hey. Her voice came like a door slamming. I'm dropping the kids at your place. All 3. You're not doing anything anyway. Then, with that laugh she uses when she's already decided for me. I'm going to Tokyo. Harry Potter Museum. Once in a lifetime. I blinked. You're what? Tickets were a steal. I leave tonight. I'll be gone 9 days, maybe 10. Don't make that noise, Sam. You love the kids. I do. I also love not tearing stitches. You're a cop, not made of glass. They're easy. Screen time, nuggets, bedtime at 8. I'll send you their allergies in a text. But I sat there with the phone at my ear and the baking show people hugging a burnt crust. My living room hummed with quiet. The clock over the TV ticked like it was judging me. I called back, straight to voicemail. Then a text pinged through. Maddie, dropping them at 4. I put you down as emergency pickup already. School ends at 3:15. You're welcome. Then another. Maddie, keys are with you from last time, right? Don't forget to clean the humidifier. You always let it get gross. I stared at the screen. My stomach tightened. From last time meant the weekend I covered because her sitter bailed, which meant the weekend she forgot to pick them up until Monday morning. I'd driven the boys to school in my uniform, fed the toddler graham crackers in the parking lot, told myself this was family. Another text. Mom, Sam, your sister needs support right now. Don't be difficult. She's finally doing something for herself. Dad, we raised you to help. She's a single mom. Step up. I put the phone face down. I felt it, like someone had opened a drawer in my chest where I kept old receipts and uncashed checks. Maddie's voice from last Christmas. You make more than me. Mom's whisper at Easter. Be generous. It looks good on you. Dad's shrug in the garage. Just spot her. She'll pay you back when she can. A decade of small asks that had become policies. I moved slow, sat up even slower. The incision tugged. The room tilted a little and settled. I called once more. She answered this time, already breathless like she was running through an airport she hadn't reached yet. Mads, I said, calm, like I talk to people on traffic stops when they're vibrating out of their skin. I'm post-op. No lifting. You don't have to lift them. They can climb. You're making this dramatic. Where are they now? At school. I told the office you're picking up. Also, don't make them do homework. And Max doesn't like broccoli. You told the office I'm picking up? Well, your Uncle Sam. Then, as if it were a punchline, real Uncle Sam. I heard my own voice go very flat. Right. She sighed like I was exhausting. Don't start. Christmas is in 2 weeks. Don't be selfish during the holidays. The baking show people went quiet. Someone cut a pie and the knife squeaked. I smiled. It surprised me. It felt like the kind of smile you give a suspect when you've seen the footage and you know what time the door opened. Okay, I said and hung up. I decided right then, with the pillow pressed to my stitches and a cooling cup of black coffee in my hand, that I was going to give my sister a Christmas she would never forget. Not a revenge movie. Not a stunt. Just the most honest holiday our family had ever had. When she came back from Japan, I wanted her to walk into a room and finally see the mess we've all been stepping around. I wanted her to hear exactly what she said to me, word for word, just without the laugh track. The clock kept ticking. I put on a fresh shirt. I stacked my pain meds in a line on the counter like evidence tags. I opened my notes app and wrote a title. Maddie, holiday budget / childcare / promises. Then I typed the first bullet. 2019, rent assist, 3 months, $2,400. Promise to repay after tax return. The notes made a sound like a distant engine when I scrolled. At 3 p.m., I stood up. I winced. I picked up my keys. And I headed for my car like a man walking into a scene He couldn't postpone any longer. I became a cop at 22 because I like order. Not power. Order. I like lights that work, lines that mean something, rules that keep strangers from bleeding out on sidewalks. I won't pretend the job is simple. People lie to you, or they hand you the truth raw and sobbing. But the job has numbers, reports, body cams, timestamps. The job has a thing that my family never had: consequences. Our house growing up ran on feelings and Maddie. She was the sun. I was the clouds that respected schedules. Our little brother, Jamie, learned early that if he stood between us, he could stay warm. Mom loved hard when it looked good. Dad loved quiet when it didn't cost extra. We weren't poor, but money was a weather system that came and went with my parents' moods. When Maddie had Max at 24, the family story took shape. Sam is stable. Maddie is fragile. Love is a group project that Sam will grade and complete. I took extra shifts. I dropped off diapers. I did midnight convenience store runs because formula is somehow always empty at reasonable hours. I told myself, this is what big brothers do. Then the ask shifted. Can you co-sign the internet? My credit is weird. Can you add me and the boys to your cell plan? It's just for a few months. School wants an emergency contact. Yours is more reliable. You're on nights anyway. Could you do mornings for a week? I built a calendar around their needs. I drank coffee in my car at 6 a.m., two toddlers in the back arguing about whether toast can be upside down. I learned the names of teachers I'd never met. I learned their birthdays, their favorite juice pouches, which Lego to never step on. Max got an inhaler. I memorized the dosage and kept an extra in my glove compartment. On my locker at the station, I taped their school schedule next to the precinct map. Officers would joke, "Uncle Sam to the rescue," and I laughed because the alternative was to say, "I'm tired." The money became a constant, not an exception. 2018, late rent. 2019, late rent again, then one-time daycare gift, which became a monthly auto transfer because with your bank it's easier. 2020, pandemic. I put aside hazard pay for a down payment one day. Maddie called crying. "I can't breathe in this apartment. The boys need space." I paid the deposit on a bigger place under her name because she wanted independence, and somehow I was still the one the landlord texted when the sink broke. 2021, Christmas. She wanted magic. I bought the bike with the red bow. I watched the video of Max wobbling down a hallway I paid for and told myself it was worth it. When I tried to set limits, the language got sharp. "Mom, you know your sister didn't choose this." "Dad, you don't have kids. You don't get it." "Maddie, you're obsessed with money. It's creepy." I kept a spreadsheet. I never showed it to anyone. The spreadsheet made me feel like I wasn't crazy. It was ugly and exact. Column A, date. Column B, description. Column C, amount. Column D, promise. Column E, status. Most of column E said TBD. A few said LOL, from the time Maddie had borrowed my laptop and left her jokes in all caps. I thought of telling a therapist. I drafted an email and never sent it. I thought of talking to my captain. I imagined his face. "Not a work matter, officer." Right. So I worked. I paid. I forgot to replace the tires on my own car because I'd replaced hers. Then came what I called a small turn. Last spring, I found out my name was listed as authorized payer on the boys' aftercare account. I found out because my card was charged. The email said, "Thanks, Sam," with a confetti emoji. Maddie shrugged. "It's just a form." I said, "Forms are contracts." She said, "God, you're insufferable." I removed my card. She added it back with my saved info by accident. This summer, she used my Amazon because it's faster with Prime and shipped a $400 stroller to her friend. When I asked, she said, "Relax, I'll Venmo." The Venmo never came. When I nudged, she posted a story with the stroller and the caption, "Blessed," and tagged me. People heart reacted. One of the moms in her circle left a prayer hands emoji. I closed the app and went for a run in the heat until my legs burned. 2 months before my surgery, I caught a case where a guy swore his brother used his name to open a credit line. The report was tidy. The family wasn't. That night, I went home and searched my name and my address and the word utility. Nothing new, but my heart raced like there was. When I told Maddie I was scheduled for surgery, she said, "Ugh, when?" Like I was interrupting her show. I gave her dates. She said she'd send good vibes. The group chat stayed quiet. Mom forwarded a casserole recipe. Dad sent a thumbs up. The day of the operation, Jamie texted, "You got this." He's 28, works long shifts at a warehouse, an expert at lying low. He offered to drive me. I told him no because I wanted to tell myself I wasn't alone while proving that I was. I came home with stitches and a bright orange bottle. The apartment smelled like laundry detergent and nothing else. I told myself I liked the silence. And then the phone rang. Tokyo, you're not doing anything anyway. The old choice was back. Be the cloud or burn. I picked the boys up that afternoon because there were 3 kids in a school office with backpacks bigger than their torsos and my name next to theirs on the sign-out sheet. The receptionist smiled at me like I was trustworthy. The boys shouted Uncle Sam like I was a bounce house. I buckled them in one by one, slow, careful, feeling every stitch. At my place, they unloaded like puppies. Shoes exploded in the hallway. Someone asked for dinosaurs. Someone else asked for nuggets, then cried because I didn't make the exact ketchup hill they like. The toddler climbed my thigh like a tree. I laughed once. I sat down in the doorway so I wouldn't fall. At 7, they were all asleep in nests of blankets and plastic swords. I turned on the living room lamp. I opened my laptop. I pulled up the spreadsheet. I added a new row. 2025, post-op childcare, unplanned. 10 days, TBD. And I wrote underneath it. Agreement, none. Assumed by others. My stomach throbbed. I took the next dose. I stared at the word assumed until it blurred. That night, I made a new document. I named it Christmas Plan. It wasn't about gifts. It was about clarity. I was done being the only adult in a room full of adults. I wrote rules. Short, like traffic laws. I will not be an emergency plan announced after the emergency starts. I will not fund magic. I will not be shamed for saying what things cost. I will not carry what you refuse to learn to carry. By midnight, I had a list of screenshots to collect. Bank transfers, texts, the school portal showing my name with payer next to it, and the edited by Maddie log. I had a plan for where and when. Family Christmas, our mother's house, the only place everybody still pretends to be nice. I closed the laptop. I exhaled. In the quiet, I heard it, under the ache and the mess of my living room, a shift. It sounded like the click of a seatbelt finally done right. The week before Christmas, Maddie's Instagram was all captions about solo travel mama and photos of butterbeer. The boys FaceTimed me once to show me a gift shop wand, and then got distracted by a vending machine that sold mystery sodas. Maddie popped into frame, said, "You're a lifesaver," and disappeared into neon. I counted down my pills. I healed. I taught Max to crack eggs with one hand. He told me I was cool for an old. The toddler learned the word cop and used it as a threat against the vacuum. We had our little routines. But every night after they were in bed, I opened the evidence file and added something else. On December 23rd, she came home. She texted, "Landing. Can you do pickup? I'm dead." I texted back, "No. Get a ride. See you tomorrow at Mom's, 2 p.m. She sent 3 eye roll emojis. Then, nothing. December 24th, I parked on my parents' street and sat for a second, engine clicking as it cooled. Their house was the same as always. White lights tighter than a military haircut, wreath centered on the door, the inside air already sweaty with cinnamon. I grabbed the tote with the boys' gifts, books, socks, a dinosaur that roared so quietly it would not ruin any adult's evening. I grabbed my folder. The living room was crowded. Jamie stood near the tree holding a plate and trying to be invisible. Mom was in a velvet sweater saying homemade fudge like a spell. Dad wore the sweater we got him 4 years ago because why buy something new when you have a perfectly good one? Maddie was on the couch, 10 now, hair glossy from vacation shampoos. She didn't get up. "There he is," Mom said. "Our hero. Did they run you ragged?" "Poor dear." She kissed the air beside my cheek. "Put that down and relax." I set the tote by the tree. I put my folder on the coffee table. I sat. The boys barreled into me, all elbows and stories. I listened. I smiled for them. Real, because they are not at fault for the adults around them. Presents happened. Torn paper. Shouts. Dad made a joke about the dinosaur. Mom took photos like she was collecting proof of something she could post later. Maddie gave the kids matching shirts that said Mom's Crew. I gave Max the book he asked for twice. He hugged it like a life raft. Then Mom clapped. "Okay now. Adult gifts." She handed Maddie a small box. Maddie squealed before she opened it. It was a plane-shaped charm. "For the traveler," Mom said, eyes glossy. "You deserve this trip." Maddie turned the charm in her fingers. I really did. My throat did a weird thing. The room went fuzzy at the edges, like my body was reminding me recent stitches existed. I reached for my water. And then it happened, the trigger line, the one she always uses when she's ready to cash me like a check. She looked at me over the charm. "Speaking of deserving, can you spot me rent this month? Jet lag and bills, you know." She laughed. You make more than me. Mom didn't flinch. Dad took a drink. Jamie's jaw went tight. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't make a speech I'd practiced 1,000 times. I just flipped open the folder and slid the first page across the coffee table. I can't, I said. And I won't. We're going to talk numbers. Now. Maddie blinked like I'd switched the channel too fast. What? I kept my tone even. We're going to talk about what I've paid, what you've promised, and what changes today. This isn't a fight. It's a ledger. Mom made a small scoffing sound. Samuel, don't be tacky. I slid a screenshot across. Bank transfers. Dates. Amounts. Underlined notes. The TBDs that never became anything else. Maddie rolled her eyes. You're so dramatic. I slid another. The aftercare account page with my name. Authorized payer. The audit log showing edited by Madeline Carter, April 12th, 11:07 a.m. Her face changed. Only a notch. But I saw it. The micro wince you see when a person realizes their story has an audience. Everyone does that, she said. It's just how the system works. Dad cleared his throat. This is Christmas. This is family, I said. Which is why it has to happen here. I slid the text where she'd written, you're not doing anything anyway. I slid the school office email. Thank you, Sam, with confetti. I slid the Amazon order with the stroller and her blessed caption and my redacted card. Maddie laughed too loud. What is this, Court? I looked at her, and for the first time I let her see I was done. It's accountability. Mom leaned forward. Palms up. Sam, if you needed help, you should have asked. We would have. I tapped the stack. I asked for limits. I wrote them down. You called me selfish. Jamie, softly, he did. Maddie shot him a look. Wow. You too. He set his plate down. Mads, come on. She aimed back at me. You chose to help. Don't act like a victim. I chose yes. I nodded. And I'm choosing different now. I pulled out the last page, a single sheet with 4 lines, printed big. Effective immediately, I am no longer a backup plan. I will not fund your rent, trips, or emergencies caused by your choices. I will not be listed as payer or contact without my written consent. If my name appears on anything without consent, I will report it. Maddie stared at the paper like it was written in a language she didn't respect. Report me? For what? Being family. For fraud, I said. Quiet. For using my information. For making me the bank because you don't want to be the adult. She scoffed, but I saw it again, the flinch. You wouldn't. I would, I said. Because I'm done. Mom put a hand to her chest. This isn't how we do things. This is exactly how we've done things, I said, and felt my voice finally sharpen. With me smoothing every edge while you all pretend there are no edges. Maddie's mouth twisted. You're cruel. On Christmas. I sat back, pain tugging, breath slow. No. I'm clear. The room broke open like it had been holding its breath for years. Mom's eyes filled. I didn't raise you to be cold. You raised me to be convenient, I said. I'm not anymore. Dad stood like he was leaving and realized there was nowhere to go. Enough. We'll talk later. We're talking now, I said, and placed a printed budget on the table like a magic trick no one wanted. 2 columns. Here's what it costs, Maddie. Your rent. Your daycare. Your food. The extras. Here's what you make. Here's the gap. That gap isn't love. That gap isn't my problem anymore. She laughed again, but it cracked. You think I don't know my bills? You know how to ignore them until they become my bills. Jamie made a sound he'd been swallowing for a decade. He's right. Maddie rounded on him. Don't you start. You never help. He held her stare, and my quiet brother with the careful life said words I've never heard him say out loud. Because every time I tried, it became endless. Because I paid your power once, and you told people I was obsessed with control. Because Mom told me not to trigger you by asking for a plan. Because Dad said, let your sister be. Because if Sam is a bank, I'm the ATM fee. Silence. Big, honest silence. The kind that makes your throat throb. Mom whispered, we did our best. You protected Maddie from consequences, I said. And you called it love. Dad sat down again, slow. So, what? You want her to fail? You want the boys to suffer? I shook my head. No. I want her to stop outsourcing adulthood. I've set up resources. Real ones. I pulled out another sheet. It was neat, blessedly administrative. Here's a free financial counseling service in the city. Appointment is booked for January 8th at 10 a.m. Here's the number for the local legal aid clinic. Custody and child support consult on January 15th at 1. Here's a list of after-school programs with sliding scale fees. Here's a food co-op she qualifies for. Here's a rent relief program timeline. I slid the list over. Each phone call took 6 minutes. I timed them. You can keep the sheet. Maddie stared at the paper like it had insulted her. So now I'm a charity case. No, I said. You're a parent. She looked around for Mom to back her. Mom was crying, but the tears weren't doing their old job. Dad was tired. Jamie had moved to stand next to me like someone had pushed him there gently. Maddie tried one more play. You're the cop. You swore to protect. Now you're abandoning us. I met her eyes. Protecting means teaching people to lock their own doors. I pulled out the keys she'd left with me from last time. I set them on the table. Here, you'll need these. Her chin lifted. What if I refuse? What if I keep putting you down as contact? What if I just do it and you can't stop me? I didn't raise my voice. Then you'll receive a written notice from me and from the school through official channels. And from the school. And from anyone else who needs to be looped in. And you won't like that version of help. She swallowed. You wouldn't do that to me. I would do that for me. And for your kids, who need a parent they can trust to do paperwork without lying. Jamie exhaled, something like a laugh and a sob at once. Wow. Dad rubbed his face. How did we get here? By pretending every small cut was a hug, I said. The boys wandered back in, eyeing the adults like animals who know weather is changing. Max climbed into my lap. Careful, because he's learned I've been OE. He laid his head on my chest. Uncle Sam, can we do pancakes tomorrow at Grandma's? I smoothed his hair. We'll do pancakes next weekend at my place. But this week, you'll be with your mom. He nodded, big eyes serious. Kids always know when truth is a grown-up word that means things are changing. Maddie's voice went small, the voice she uses when she wants Mom to fix the room around her. What if I can't? What if I mess it up? Then you'll learn, I said. And you'll stop using me as your cushion. She stared at the stack. Her anger was still there, bright and familiar. But behind it, finally, I saw it. The scared person I'd been protecting like it was my job. It wasn't. It had never been. Mom sniffed, pulled herself together. Well, she said, brittle. This is a lot. Why don't we open dessert? Jamie said. We're in the middle of dessert. She looked at the untouched pie. Oh. She sat down. The rest of the afternoon was slow. The TV played some movie where people learn lessons in 90 minutes. We talked logistics. Not feelings. Logistics. When Maddie could pick up the boys' things from my place. What time the counseling appointment was. How to request her own school portal password reset so she wouldn't need mine in an emergency. I sent her the links. She didn't say thank you. I didn't require it. When it was time to leave, Max hugged me hard like he was anchoring. The toddler sang, "Cop, cop, cop," and patted my face like he was rebooting me. I kissed the tops of their heads. I stood. My incision pulled and then eased. At the door, Mom took my hand. Her eyes were wet, but her voice was less theater. You're serious. I am. Are you happy? No, I said. I'm honest. In the driveway, Jamie caught up. Hands in his pockets, breath a cloud. I should have said something sooner, he muttered. You said it now. He nodded. You need anything? Yeah, I said. Come by tomorrow. Help me move the bunk bed into the garage. I'm reclaiming my office. He smiled. Copy that. I drove home with the radio off. The streets were lit with all the usual cheer. I didn't feel cheerful. I felt level. Like a road after a plow has been through. Not pretty, not festive, but passable. At home, I went room to room. I gathered the dinosaurs into a bin. I folded small shirts that smelled like chalk and syrup. I changed the sheets. I stood in the doorway and looked at my living room without the cartoon clutter and felt a quiet I recognized. My own. Then I sat at the table and opened my notebook. I wrote, December 24th, boundaries stated, in writing, aloud. Received. I put a period. It felt heavier than most. New Year's passed quiet. Day tour, cold pizza, vending coffee. My partner asked about Christmas. Honest, I said. In January, Maddie kept the counseling appointment. A buzz on the shared calendar. A week later, she texted a messy paper budget. Figuring it out. Mom called less. When she did, she said parentification like a word with splinters. We didn't know. I told you. I hear you now. Dad sent a photo of a lamp he fixed. Enough. Jamie came Sundays. Pancakes, cards, silence where drama used to sit. I added small things. Woodworking class, new tires, 1 weekend off, sleep without alarms. When Maddie listed me as a contact again, I removed myself. No, fine. She found a sitter, a landlord plan, a budget feed. The boys visited. Pancakes. Max asked me to come to career day. I said yes if Mom okays it. He nodded like he believed me. At the sink I said the truth. I'm not a bank, a backup plan, or a hero. I'm a man with boundaries. I didn't give her a perfect Christmas, just a true one. The pocket moral. I will not be used. I will help with respect and consent. That first pickup, she stood in my doorway. Thanks, she said. Okay, I answered. The door shut. I breathed deep. Then I turned the lights off.